Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Mannino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Mannino, the Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you. And today, I got one of the greats. I got Tony Rodriguez, who has his own podcast, and he's killing it. He accidentally fell into it and is just killing it in podcasting. Tony, thank you very much for being on the show. Do me a favor, introduce yourself, tell everybody how you got to where you're at today and what you're doing right now.
First off, thank you for the intro. Great intros are always good. It's always a good start to the show. So I thank you very much. I always appreciate when people take the time to have myself or my co-host on. But so my name is Tony Rodriguez. I live here in New Jersey. Been in marketing and sales for a number of years. And just that's always been my space, working with people, coaching people. And I love that space and been in that fitness space as well for probably a good number, about 30 or so years. And I've been in that space ultimately about a year and a half ago. A friend of mine, somebody who became a friend of mine, approached me and asked me to start a podcast. And I'll be honest with you, I have a very interesting approach in life that I don't worry about the outcomes of things. I think when opportunities present themselves, you don't wait for the perfect time for things to be ready. You just do it. So we literally took 3 or 4 phones, a green screen, and a small office in town. And it was like $45 for an hour. And we went live. No website, no email address. And we just started taking user questions. And we found really quickly there was an appetite for it. I think our first episode, we had 4,000 viewers, which was like so incredible to us that people wanted to tune in and listen to us talk about advice. And flash forward, we finished off 2025 and we wind up we won the Signal Award for the top podcast in the world for self-help and self-improvement, which still to this day is so mind-blowing to me. And then as we've gotten the system down, we've gone from there to in my home now, an entire floor of my home is a podcast studio. And we really doubled down onto it. And then this year we've already won the top podcast for dating and relationship advice and overall wellness. So we must be doing something right. But it's largely because we were talking a little bit before the show started. Our show is all user generated. So we take live questions, interview questions, and the entire show is about the person watching. And I think this blows people's minds. We're live with no delay. So whatever comes out of our mouth is what makes it out into the world. And I think that's what makes it unique because we have to be authentic and we have to be really, we just come off unscripted and unfiltered, and whatever comes in or out of our mouth, that's just what comes out. And it's worked so far, so I don't know if we're going to change. So we'll see what happens.
Unscripted Success. Sounds like somebody I know.
Yeah, sounds like a sign I'm looking at.
Sounds like, yeah, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, I love what you do. That's a very unique way of starting podcasting, because usually podcasts is like this. We're doing an interview and then we got to edit it and go on. You're just straight on and raw dogging it to the world.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is we didn't know. I think there's a lot in being young, dumb, and stupid. Now we're not young. I wish we were, but I think there's a lot of value in not knowing what you're doing. You know that you have the when we went into it, and I think you obviously in your world, in your profession, like I'm in the home improvement, that success too, in that space. When we talk about what makes somebody successful, the very first thing that myself and my co-host talked about is just consistency. The promise that we made to the audience, we couldn't promise them anything because we didn't really know anything, but we promised them that every Tuesday, every single night, we would show up. And that was the only promise that we knew that we could definitely keep. And that to this day, we have kept for 70 straight weeks. And but what's interesting is different for us is, to your point, when we started, a lot of what we thought was, all right, who's our guests? Who's coming on? And every week as we grew the show and the people will grow, we were always in the back of our head, we're like, okay, who we having on the show? And we weren't big enough to have guests. And we started realizing that what made our show different and what made our show successful was it wasn't about us. It really wasn't even about us. And it wasn't about the guests. It was about the people watching. And I think that in the podcast space, there is a lot of value. I'm a huge podcast fan. I love podcasts. I love the interviews, long format. I like listening. But I think what the space was missing was a place where the show was about the actual listener and that they had the ability to be part of the show. And why it didn't dawn on us right away, it was interesting because when we won the Signal Award, we went to the award party and we met the head of advertising for DC Comics and for ESPN. And she was talking to us about our show and advertising on it. And she goes, we're like, oh, we're a podcast. And she goes, you're not a podcast. It's the first time we ever heard it. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, you're absolutely not a podcast. She goes, you're a television show that has a podcast attached to it. And she goes, and we never thought about it that way, but she goes, you go live and people interact with your show, which is really what you are, that has a podcast attached to it that people can follow up with later. And she goes, you're very unique in the space. And the one thing she said to us is don't change. So going into this year, and I think now that we have a name recognition, a lot of celebrities reach out to us and talk to us about loving the show and liking it. It's unbelievable. But we've had a good mix. We have people on. I think we've realized over time, it don't have to be celebrities. They have to be people that our audience connects with, stories that resonate with them. And but a lot of our audience was like, as long as it becomes a mix of us and you're sprinkling in guests, we'll love it and we'll stay. And that's the formula we've been using so far.
Seems to be working great. It's a great idea. And people have asked me to join podcasts that are live. And I always thought it was fun too, because you get some really cool questions. How do the people watching interact with you?
So what we do is there's two parts to it. People can obviously ask their questions on the websites. That's easy, and they email into the shows. They know that there's a chance that their question will be on there. But a lot of what we do is we go live on all the platforms. And because the way the chat system is set up, we can see the chat. And then we have one person who works with us who monitors all the chat. And then what happens is we're having these discussions, questions will come up on the screen for us to take a look at. So a good example will be this month coming up, which is Men's Mental Health Month, June. And we'll have a good amount of questions. And it's interesting because it's very much unscripted to your show's success. We have an outline of what the show is going to be about. And we have a section of questions we think we're going to get to. But when we start, the show goes wherever the show goes. And as we start talking about things, people will start putting questions in the chat. And as we find that they're pertinent to what we're talking about, we just start talking about them, which I think is why people appreciate it, because there's no opportunity for us to pause and think about it and give you this well thought out answer. We have to give you what we really think. And that sometimes is probably the best advice we could give somebody.
I agree with that 100%. Us being a little bit older, I know I'm older than you.
You got a better head of hair than I do, for sure, though.
No, you got a way better head of hair. We have some experiences. Like, you know better than anybody else, not all of them are good.
Nope.
So how we help people is tell them how we got through those hard times, those hard experiences. One of our questions we're going to talk about today is one of the hardest things you went through. And sharing that what blows my mind is what you're doing is a little bit better, is you're doing it individually with each individual and where they're at today in their life, but you get to capture it. So if anybody else needs it later.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. You're doing a great job at that. Awesome.
I appreciate it. I think what it is, we've realized that, to your point, I say this as a generalization. We all are broken at some point in our lives. We all make mistakes. We all should. There's no point of living a life that you're not. You watch this episode of Shrinking, a show on Apple, and it was really great. There's this end scene.
I love Shrinking.
All right.
I love Shrinking.
One of the best shows ever made. And there's that scene where Harrison Ford where he's moving to Connecticut. And there's this part where Jason Segel's talking about his scars. And Harrison Ford says, it'd be a shame to be 42 years old and not have a life full of scars. And I think when you really pull back the onion from people or have scars and they've had difficulty, they've made mistakes. And what they don't want is some advice from someone that has it all together. I think what people really appreciate, and you know this for being in business, home improvement, and the best lessons that we learn is when someone tells me where they made a mistake and how to either get through it, work through it, the outcome of it, how they could have handled it better. And what I think we're really good at, to our credit, is we just tell you the real story about how we made mistakes. We don't blame other people. We're not on the show. Even in our situations, being divorced dads, it's never about our exes. It's always about us. It's about what we could have done better and what we went through and the feelings that we had. And I think what really people appreciate about it is, and we were talking about a little bit, is we're not afraid to cry about it and talk about it and show emotion about it, because that's real life. Real
Mhm.
life is all of those things rolled up into a ball. None of it's going to be perfect. And but what really counts is that you keep getting off the mat and trying. And what we talk about in the community that we built, because we definitely talk about them as a community, is that this is a safe space. This is nobody, we're not here to make fun of anybody. We're not here to look at your problem and point you out. What we're here to do is try our best to give you some guidance and help in a format that makes you feel heard. And I think a lot of times maybe that's just what people want. They just want to be heard.
I agree. I like what you said. I say the same thing you do, just a little bit differently. You said our faults, our faults. I love when the problem's my fault because then I can fix it. If I put the power into somebody else's hand, this person's not doing this, I can't fix that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
and you know this from being a business leader, right? Like when people ask us, especially as business leaders and the most successful ones, and I'm, obviously you have a ton of them on your show. Success isn't mine; it's my people's. Failure is mine; that's my fault, right? And that's the
but
mark of, and that's how I look at, and I look at business that way, and I connect it to what we do here at the show. I very much take the same tact. It's like when there's failure in a relationship or a situation, I'm not looking at blame. I'm trying to lead from the front and say, okay, this happened. What can we do to make it better? What could I have done to better? What could we do as a team? What could we do as a family unit? What could we do as friends? And it's a different way to look at sometimes relationships, but I think it stems a lot from how I look at business. It's just how I look at relationships now. I get a little bit the same.
yeah, I agree with you. I say the same thing a little bit different. So as a leader, there's different leader styles. You can lead from the front, the middle, or the back. I lead from the back until there's a problem, and then I step up in front and be the bullet catcher. Because
Yeah.
I don't want anybody behind me, my family, my kids, my people that work with me, or my partners. I don't want them to catch the bullets. I'll take all the bullets, take all the blame, all the problems, and then they always, and you know this better than anybody, they always want to help you with it.
Yeah. When your people, your family, your friends see you stand up and do that, and it's interesting because it's why it's the biggest challenge in managing people, which I think also translates into relationships. The biggest challenge for managing people, to your point, is I just literally did a call today for a reference for somebody, right? And the owner of the company called me for reference from an ex-employee, and he was asking me something about job titles. And I said, can I be honest with you? And I said, I understand the importance of them in the world, the outward importance of them. I said, but if you ask my people, and I was talking about this new hire in particular, I go, my staff used to always ask me, because I had launched a department, what my job title was. And I always used to tell them janitor. And they were like, what do you mean? And I'm like, we're the same. I'm
Yeah.
no different than you guys. I'm in the store, in the field, doing what you guys do. Now, when issues and problems arise, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna take all the shrapnel. You guys are never gonna have to do that. I'm here for that. And it's good to say it, but when your people see you do it, when your family see you do it, when your friends see you do it, it changes a lot in your life. It changes the dynamic, changes you as a person. And that is funny to me on how I started realizing that in business as I was growing in that field, and then started realizing that's not really any different than I should be in my personal life, right? There's some things that mirror that, where especially as a divorced dad, we talk a lot about it in the situations. My son grew up. My son was always, as he got older, was like, "Hey, can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me what happened?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, you never, I go, here's all you need to know. Your mom loves you like nobody else. Your dad loves you like nobody else. Outside that, anything else is unimportant. We'll take on that. What's important is you. And I never forget when he got to about 15, he pulled me aside one day. It was random. And I said, what's going on? He said, I just want to say thank you. And it was such a random kid moment. And I was like, what's up? And he goes, I'm so happy that you guys never talked bad about each other, because I have friends whose parents would do that and their childhood has been horrible. He goes, I want to say, I thank you for stepping up.
Not their childhood, the rest of their lives, because now
You're
that's
right.
their expect. When you raise kids in an environment, that's what they think everybody else's environment's like.
Yes.
If you bust your mom's chops or she busts your chops, that's what they think and until they start going out with their friends, spending the night and stuff like that. They're like, hey, the dynamics. And the greatest, I'm sure you probably had this, one of the greatest compliments I ever got was my son and daughter said, "We've got a great house." I go,
Yeah.
"That's a win."
That's when you turn
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
tears start coming down.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can fight the world, man. When the kids say they love you and you did good, it's a win. You
Yeah.
got to take the wins too.
Yeah, there's something that, and I think there's something to the core of that speaks to how it's like I don't need to be rewarded, but there's something about that special. We talk a lot about this in the podcast about men, and our love language is so different than women. And we were talking about a little bit. Our audience is this interesting mix of largely female. It's an 88% female audience for two guys who run a podcast, which is such an interesting dynamic. But a
Good.
lot of it is because of trying to understand men a little better. And one of the things that we get a lot is people think that men's love language is physical. It's the touch, it's the intimacy, it's that part of it. And don't get me wrong, it's fun, it's a nice part of the relationship. But
One of the best.
when they put actual electrodes on a man's brain and a woman's brain, and they actually measure this in brain waves, the equivalent to a woman hearing "I love you" is the exact same brain waves in a man's brain of hearing the word "thank you."
Hmm.
And it's such an interesting thing until you think about it. And it's like, to your point, your kids are really saying, "Thank you for giving me a great home. Thank you for being the person you are." And there's something in us that's wired as men that's such in a good way, an emotional trigger for us. And it's because a lot of we were talking a little bit about, we don't get a lot of that sometimes. We're expected to do that. We're expected to do these things, but we're still human. And getting that affirmation, oh, it just makes my heart melt now thinking about it.
You're giving good information to women. Men and women just, what I don't understand is people don't think men and women think differently. We do. We have, and it's not bad. Women think this way, men think this way. But when you put them together, it makes a perfect mix. I
Yes.
really feel that men are missing something. I really feel that women are missing something. But together, they're whole.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of what we're in the world we're in today, I think me and my partner talk a lot about it because it comes our way in our questions. I think there's interesting pendulum swings that happen in the world. And the pendulum swings one way and then it swings back this way and it always centers in the middle. And a lot of times people are fighting so much currently about the men and women being the same. And
We're
there's such a little grain of truth in it, but ultimately we're different on purpose. And the beauty is that we're different. And I
yeah,
think people want so hard to be the same. It's no, the beautiful part of life is we're supposed to be different because we complement each other. Because I'll be honest with you, if I met the female version of me, I don't know how the hell that would work out. It'd
like
be
her?
awful.
Would you like her?
No,
Talk to her, right?
no,
I know, right?
no.
Oh, this is horrible. But my daughter, I always wonder what a female version of me is. I got a daughter like me. And I was like, oh, my daughter literally said that Christmas. She came out and saw us and she goes, she was talking to her brother and she goes, "What did I get from dad? And what did you get from dad? I got this and I got this." And like that. And Lexi goes, "I'm dad." And I just went, "You are." And I do love her. She's amazing, but she's tough. And
Yeah, people.
but that was our objective with kids. Do you want to raise weak kids?
No, no. Look, I want people. My wife is the most, and it's not because she's just my wife. She's the most successful woman that I know in business, and so that's a rare. So she's got a career, she's driven, but as much as she does, there's a deep down part of her that she always felt as she went through that career path in New York that the biggest part of missing her was a family. And she felt because of the way that the world was built that she couldn't say it out loud or people would look down on her about it, right?
You can say it.
And the flip side of that is the male side. It's like we're supposed to be never cry and never say anything. And then what happens is we realize how much we love when our kids say "I love you" or how much we love it.
Thank
And we're
you.
supposed to be a little vulnerable. So we're always working too hard against each other instead of being like the differences and the things that make us unique and the things that men and women are a little bit the same and maybe a little different. That it's supposed to be that way, right? It's the beauty of it all. So why are we spending so much time arguing about this stuff versus just being like, we really need each other? So let's try to find some more beauty in
That's
it.
the biggest point right there. We need each other. I learned that during the process of me and my wife. I've been married for 38 years, and I'm telling you for a fact, men and women are built differently. And when my wife's the most successful mom I've ever met.
Yeah. It's
You know,
awesome.
she took care of the house, took care of me, took care of the kids. The best anybody's ever done, period, by far and away. And she didn't miss that part. And I don't think I don't want to speak for your wife, but I
Yeah.
don't think she missed the career thing.
Yeah, the thing I find about it is it's so interesting. We talk a lot about it, like where does it come from? It's social media, obviously, it's a huge piece of it. And I think the problem with that world is that the outlier messages get amplified when really none of that's true. And then of course your algorithm feeds it to you, and then you believe it, right? And the reality of it is a lot of that stuff is just not real. It's not real. And so much of the world is heading in that direction where sometimes, and I think that's what makes our show successful, it's as real as you can get because
Nice.
anything and everything's on the table to talk about. The questions we get range from fitness and health. Hey, my kid's young. Should he take creatine? To dating disasters, to people's really ultimate mistakes, to just how to be a good dad. And I think everything we talk about all the time, we love it so much because it's what makes people, right? And we have to, there's this thing that we always talk about on the show. If when you stop growing, you die. And when you stop learning, you die. And
Mhm.
and that's why I think it's when people are craving just someone to be honest about it and real about it
Mhm.
and just come out and say what everyone's thinking, but
Yeah. Say
people
the
are
quiet part
afraid to
out.
say it.
Say the quiet part out loud. That's it.
Yeah, just say it. We on the show, we're like men and women are different. It's okay to say it. Doesn't mean that
And
there's
that's
nothing
okay.
else to it.
They were made that way. They were made
Yes.
differently. And
Yes.
and the yin and yang of a man and woman is when you put it together the right way, magic.
Yeah.
Magic. Just magic.
Yeah, we talk about time, even in this culture now. A lot of it will come in. We talk about people and their identity and how they feel and how they want to be. And my take on it is always this: life is short. Be anybody you want to be. Love anybody you want to love. Guess what? The beautiful part of life is you should do whatever you want to do. But the
Bingo.
minute you start telling me what I got to do,
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
where we draw the line, right? So that's where I think the beautiful part of America and living in this country is that there are those freedoms and there is that openness. I'm not saying mostly, largely generalization, right? And that's beautiful part. But we have this culture now that wants to stand on a soapbox and be like, no, you need to. And it's like, oh no,
No.
I'm so,
Influencers.
you,
Influencers.
yeah, go do whatever you want. It's so awesome. Just focus on you. It's so great. Life is already hard enough for all of us. Just let us just focus on ourselves, please.
Exactly. It is tough, but I don't think anybody that someone said I've been watching people that have passed and went to the other side and back, and they say you choose to come over here. I don't think anybody would choose to come over here if they were weak. This is tough. This is a tough life. But in our greatest battles and our greatest victories.
It's the only way when you really think about that anything great has ever been built, right? Like civilizations, people, like even just anything. Challenges are what make you. It's what you learn from, is what you grow. And it's like that. It's that I don't always like to use like analogies and memes and stuff, but some of them are so great. It's like you look at what a seed really is, and they always make that distinction between is a seed buried and there's this and I can't give credit to who it said because I can't remember, but he's like, no, you've been planted. You need the dark. You need the no sunlight. You need to be planted in that place, and that being in that environment is what allows a tree to be a tree. So it allows it to bust through the ground and grow to the sky and be as big as beautiful as it is. But to get there, you had to be planted. And I think sometimes people don't realize how important it is. One of the best, we coach a lot of people in our professional lives because of the podcast and because of just what we do. And I was having this discussion with somebody the other day, and it's actually resonating with quite a few people. And we were talking about pain and we were talking about their past and we were talking about grief. And I said, can I give you a piece of advice that I think you're going to struggle with, but it's the right thing? And they're like, what? I'm like, I need you to sit in your pain. I need you to be okay with it. I need you to live in it. I need you to experience it. Stop pushing it down and running from it. Live in the moment, because even though it'll be hard and it'll be difficult, I go, you're going to come out of it a better person. I promise you. But the second you run from it or hide from it or pretend it doesn't exist, you're going to be weak and you're going to fail. And then you're going to fail not only yourself, but the people around you. And so I look at those challenges sometimes, and I know it's so hard to think about it in the moment and want to ask yourself, why is this happening? Why did it happen this way? Why did this person do this? Stop asking why, right? Start realizing that this is part of life. But if you come through this, I promise you, anyone who's gone through stuff will promise you, you'll be stronger, you'll be better, you'll be happier, you'll be a more complete person by going through those hardships, right? And but unfortunately, the world's gotten a little soft. I will say that, and that's a little difficult. It's just what it is.
Really? I didn't know that.
The world's gotten much softer, and they want to run from those things. But there's the great people, men and women in this world. If you can go from Oprah Winfrey to anybody who's run a major business and go back to look where they started and look at the hardships and the things they accomplished, and you will go, you have to ask yourself, okay, I would love to be Oprah. I'd love to have her success. Okay, but would you go through what she went through to get there? Would you put the hours and the time and all this that to get there? And most people won't. But that unfortunately is why a lot of people won't be successful in their relationships or lives.
Yeah, I'd like to hope that people have the opportunity to be successful, and I really feel it's a choice. And if you talk about the greatest, it seemed like you were searching for a couple more people. Let's talk about.
There's so many. That's the problem.
There's Elon Musk. He came from South
Africa.
And
South Africa, right?
Beat up the other day at school because of his color, or whatever that was. And then you got Tony Robbins, who was poor his whole childhood, and dad beat him, and he had four fathers. Oh my God, how could you go from that to where he is?
Yeah.
But it seems like the hardest paths, the hardest jobs, or the hardest things you have to go through just sharpen the sharpest.
They always do. And the challenge is, to your point, what I told my son this, I had a conversation about it the other day. We're talking about, to me, how beautiful the world is right now. And I said to him, we're talking about successful people. Your Elons, your Jeff Bezoses, right? All these people. We were joking about that. My favorite, and I don't even know if to this day, I assume it's real. It's so old of an old photo. It's the one where he's in his garage and it says Amazon spray painted on a banner, and he's in his garage and he's working. And it's one of the first pictures of Amazon, and it's floated on the internet forever. And from everything I read, it's new. But let's assume it is, right? In case I get turned out it's fake news or something. But I think this is what people should understand. Everybody across the board is going to go through tough times and has the ability to come out of them better. To your point, it's a choice. The other thing I told my son is, and I think this is what a lot of people miss, I would argue a lot with somebody about this point. I think today, with all the tools, the AI, the computers, the internet, your phone, whatever you want, I think you could do anything you put your mind to. And I know that somebody would try to pull one of these, like, be an astronaut or something stupid. But if you want to be a podcaster, we took 4 phones and a green screen. We have a TV show, right? If you want to sell something, you want to be a podcaster, you want to be a mechanic, you want to learn to build something, you can go on YouTube right now, and I guarantee you there's 4 million views on how to change a car battery or how to do something. I became a professional photographer by watching YouTube videos. And then when I went back to school to actually get certified, I tested out of every exam because I learned everything on YouTube. So if you pair the fact that everything at your fingertips now can help you be successful, life's hard anyways. So we're all gonna go through struggle. So if you stop thinking about it like woe is me, and you look at these people like a Tony Robbins or these people, and you go, they went through it. Don't look at Elon's success. Look at his whole trajectory if you want to get the story right. Look at their story. Realize they're not that much different than you. The difference is the time and effort and sacrifice they were willing to make. But outside that, a lot of the stuff is the same. I'm not saying you'll be worth $1 billion, but let's be honest. How many people do you and I both know that at the end of the day, if they just applied themselves, they would be in such a much better place in their life. But every time we talk to them, it's always an excuse, right?
It's always, like I was saying, it's always somebody else.
Somebody else's fault.
Somebody else, I can't fix it. I love when it's my problem. Because I can fix it. I guarantee you. You made a point. I want to ask you a question from you. You said right now, if you apply with YouTube and all this, you applied yourself, could you be successful? Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Could you have done it the entire human existence. It's just easier now.
I think that's the beauty of the time we live in. I think it always gets easier, right? I think that's the point. I'm sure back in the day when caveman days, someone was like, I could push a wheel, and someone's like, I'm pushing a square and the wheel won, and it becomes easier, right? Like what I think though is this is what we actually talk a lot about this on the show. It's that generational thing where there's a guy tells a story that he used to walk uphill both ways, and then the next person only walked one, and the next person bought his kid a car, and it gets to the point where now the kids have Ferraris, and then the next generation is bankrupt, right? It's that like
I've studied successful people. Most successful people, their great grandsons, great grandkids don't
don't make it
successful at all.
So I think on one hand, what we look at is the world's gotten so easy. This is one of the things we talk about on the show quite often, that we make up things to complain about. We make up problems. We invent problems we don't have because we don't have as many problems as, to your point, we used to back in the day. So our attention is focused in all the wrong places. We have this conversation quite often about AI. And it's a very decisive subject, and people can lean either way about it, and it's totally fine. I just stay right down the middle. It's not going anywhere. I don't think anyone can relatively argue with that point. I think whether you like it or don't, it's not. But when I look at everyone arguing and this and that, what I miss down the middle is people just going, I want to get better. I see this is coming out. How can this tool help me? How can the internet help me? I reminded my son, forget AI for a minute. I said, I'm just going to show you something. He goes, yeah. I go, you see this? I go, the entire world's knowledge, history, and civilization is in your pocket. So if I went back in time 100 years ago and just told somebody I take a hot shower and I go to the bathroom inside and all the world's knowledge is in my hand, I never have to open a book. Did you imagine that person's mind melting in front of you about what you were saying?
They couldn't understand. They couldn't comprehend what you're trying to say.
No, and now we have that.
It didn't happen back then. It was impossible.
And now we have it, and we're still inventing problems to circumvent the fact that if we just put in the effort and energy and when it got hard, push through it, which that doesn't matter what time frame you're from, you're pushing through something, you would be, let's just say you'd be more successful than you are. I don't want to say the level of success you would have. Right?
You just get to the next level. So you got to
get to the next level.
You got this grand vision. I want to be here. Get to the next level. 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 Get to the next. Then you'll get there. That's it.
Just focus on the. It's always like just take one step at a time. But if you do, one day you look up and you're miles ahead, right? So but like I said, a lot of people would not only shy away from the conversations we have, but also not go live with them with no delay. Like if you record it and somebody says something and they go, "Oh, hey, I didn't mean that. Let's pull that back." We don't have that option, and we do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because the other part of it is I think a lot of it has to do with intent. When we're talking, we're coming from a good place. We have good intent in what we want to say. So it doesn't ever dawn on us that we're not delayed or we're live. We really don't think about it because we go into every episode with the utmost want to truly help the people. And if we say something that might hurt their feelings, but it's the right thing to say, then we just say the right thing. Because if you knew what to do, you wouldn't actually watch the show, right? If you didn't really need help outside of us maybe being entertaining and some of the stories being ridiculously hilarious, depending on what your show's allowed to say, our show has become a place where people, and this is what I can tell you, something happens to somebody and they can't tell their friends. They don't know who to turn to. So what do? Right into the show. Right. One of the first 4 episodes in, we had somebody write in. He was married to his wife. He was married to his babysitter, right? At some point, he had a babysitter, and as he got older, married his babysitter, and he's the stepfather to this kid. It's great. Nobody knows, but we do, is that when he was 14, he got the babysitter pregnant, and that kid is actually his. And him and the babysitter never told anybody. The babysitter raised the kid the entire time until he became an adult, and now he's technically the stepfather by every measure, but he's the real dad to the kid.
Biological father.
But that's stuff where we get that, but then we also get, should my kid take creatine at 14? So we get the gambit of stuff. This is what I love about in my professional life, I got vetted by the military. In my professional life, we formed a partnership with the military to do some work with them in the marketing space. And of course, as they should, they vet everything. And so the guy who runs the marketing, such a great guy, he comes on, and now he's got a small contingent of people with him. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And he goes, hey, we vetted the company. Everything looks good. He goes, but I got a question for you. I go, yeah. He goes, we vetted you too. And I go, it's fine, whatever. And he goes, that's fine. And he goes, so you got a podcast? And I go, yeah. Now I have a work podcast. We just started it, and we're just building a gallery of episodes. So I thought that he was talking about. And he goes, no, you have Advice Unfiltered. And I go, oh, you found my personal podcast. And I went to say to him, okay, that's personal, separate of work. It's not a work thing, whatever. And he goes, we still looked into it. And he goes, and we watched a few episodes. Now, it was like, this is going to be interesting. Now, because the episodes are you know how this goes in marketing. A lot of times the title or the thumbnail is a little clickbaity to get you to watch the show. So he says, I got to be honest with you. He goes, I saw the first episode and thought, this isn't good. This partnership's not going to happen. And he goes, but then I watched it. And then I watched it again. And then I recommended it to people. And he said, I have to tell you, I'm a fan. And what he said to me, I'll never forget. He said, when soldiers come back from war with PTSD and they go to therapy, all they talk about is heavy things. And it's a heavy therapy session tuned into a heavy past, tuned into a heavy life. And he said, what I love about your show, he said, I laughed, I cried, I wanted to throw a shoe at you. He's like, then I wanted to hug you. And he goes, I went through this whole range of emotions that were all about problems that people have. He goes, but when I laughed so hard at some of the things. And he goes, when people come back from war and they're suffering from PTSD, what they're missing is that laughter and that levity. And he goes, if this partnership works out, we down the road, would you ever be open to having service people on the podcast? I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, of course. But it was largely because of how we looked at life, where we were able to talk about what we weren't good at, talk about the mistakes we made, be able to have emotions about it, but then also be able to laugh at ourselves and the mistakes we made. And the people that write in laugh about themselves. Oh my God, can you believe I did this? This is so crazy. And then we're all like, that's unbelievable. And it's what makes life to me beautiful. A million things make life beautiful, but that is that spectrum of emotions that you can have about something, even if it's a problem. You can laugh about it, you can cry about it, you can smile about it, you can get past it, you can grind through it, you can sit with it, but it's what makes us people, and we just love the fact that we don't run from it. And I think that's what's interesting from us.
I'd like to give you a gift. From what I see, and I haven't seen too much of your podcast, but what I see from you is you have something most people don't have. It's called integrity. So when you were saying that what we do on our podcast is tell people things that they don't want to hear, but it's the truth and they need to hear it, that's integrity. Most people in society now will tell you what you want to hear to get what they want from you.
Yeah.
You're being integritous. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think it's what, you have a successful show, this too. It's like, that's what I would want. Right. And it goes back, and I know this is like cheesy to a lot of people, but it's not to myself and my co-host, Chris. I have a son, and I want to show him what it's like to be a better man. And that is going to translate in his entire life, and then his kid's life, and the life he lives. And he's actually part of the show sometimes. Sometimes we have him come on and we let people ask what we call Gen Z questions. And what's great is parents will want to know, hey, my kid's this age, what does this mean? What's this word mean? We had a whole episode on what situationship was. And none of us knew what it was, but he knew what it was. Yeah. And so he comes on from time to time. But getting divorced, one of the things that came out of it when I sat with it and thought about it was it gave me an opportunity to show him what it's like to be a stand-up guy, a stand-up dad, and have some integrity and put in the hard work. Because every time I think about it, I don't think about me, I think about him. And I think about the fact that he sees and hears. You had kids, when they're little, they absorb everything like a sponge. They're like 2, and then all of a sudden they're 6 and they're talking about something you talked about forever ago. And you're like, how did you know that? He's a sponge. And the day that I really started seeing it was when I started dating my wife 13 years ago. I've been married for 13 years, so about 14-ish years ago. That would have made him about 4 or 5. And I'm dating her, and he would come on these dates with us. And then so after a little while getting to know her and seeing me on his dates, he got in this habit of walking around the car and opening her door. And then I started watching him open doors for strangers. And then as people would say, thank you, he would say, you're welcome. And you start realizing that all your actions matter. So I appreciate what you said. We do. It's so important to us to have that because it really is truly meaningful beyond what we're doing, but what we represent to our own families.
Yeah, you do it well. You said, I want to show my son this. You're already doing it by doing it.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate it.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize what I was doing. I always wondered, how do you teach my kid? How do I teach my kid financing? How do I teach my kid dating? How do I teach my kid that? How do I teach my kid? And then I learned in the process that doing the right thing is teaching them. Because here's getting any daughters?
No, just the boy.
Okay, well, here's what my daughter did to me, and she showed me, was one day I kept telling her, I forgot what the item was. You got to do this like this. You got to do like this. And then when she's little, she'd listen. And then 13 hit, and then she was rolling her eyes. She was rolling her eyes and rolling her eyes. Whatever this particular item was, I wish I could remember exactly what I said. It was something I would say. And then by the time she hit 16, her and her friend was over my house, and her friend said something. She literally repeated what I said that she rolled her eyes at. And then I learned then that it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do.
Yeah.
And so I lived the life that I wanted them to be. And here's the beauty of it. And I pray this for your kid. My kids blow me out of the water. They're going farther, harder, and just killing it in this world more than I could ever imagine. We do apartment complexes. My son has more doors than I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I love that he saw this and extrapolated. Your son will do the same. I pray that your son does the same thing.
Yeah, he's heading into that. I always tell people, I'm very quick to tell people my son's not good at anything. I'm not a participation trophy dad. I'm like, if you're not good at it, you ain't good at it. That's fine. But watching the things that I'm watching him do in his relationship now he treats people and he's thoughtful about it. Yeah, it really does make me feel good about me, which is okay. I'm like, hey, I'm doing good. And the work I'm doing is meaningful, which is ultimately all I really care about.
You had an objective. I want my kid to be whatever your objective was.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. I just want to congratulate you for doing it right.
I appreciate it. The same to you. Obviously, not many people can put 34 years in the books of a healthy, solid, stable relationship and marriage with family. So you as well are doing something that most people I cannot imagine how many people probably say it to you, like, what's the secret?
I gave it to you. And yeah. Did I say that before or after I keep forgetting. We've talked for a few minutes.
No, it was pre-recording.
So the real secret is, and I'll do it on your podcast, you got way more viewers than I do, is find the right one. Don't find the one that your eye catches the most. Find the one that what you're looking for matches and you love them, right? I was blessed to find the right girl, and then I was blessed to find the right girl. I met her at 17. I was 22, and I gave away all my past 22, all the fun you had past 22.
Oh yeah,
I gave all that up, and I don't look back because I've got the perfect girl for me. I've got the perfect girl for me, and then she gave me my why. She gave me my why. Men need a why to do anything in this world. And I've got the perfect girl, and she goes, I want kids. I don't want the career stuff. I want kids. I'm like, bet, you get all that. You stay home, you take care of the kids, you get everything you want. Now I got to go hustle to make that happen. She gave me a why. I didn't know how important my why was until I met her.
She gave you a perfect partner and a teammate in this thing.
Yeah, right? it has to be a gift from God because I'm not that good of a picker.
Look, you only got to be right sometimes. You hit a home run right away. You know what I mean? Perfect.
It had to be right once.
That's it.
Once, right?
That's it. Someone asked us on the podcast, they asked us a question last week, and this was, it was for all of us, and it was like, if you won life-changing money in the lottery, like life-changing 100 million, whatever dollars, would you split it with your significant other and part ways and just go lift whatever, go run out? And we were talking about it, and I said on the podcast, I got a lot of friends who are married that both of the people love each other, but if I gave them that proposition, they would take the money and split it and be out. And my co-host, I didn't even say anything, and he stops the mic and he goes, "You wouldn't." He goes, "I know you wouldn't." He's like, "I wouldn't." And I go, "I found the perfect person." I go, "I got $100 million, $200 million. I want to spend it with her." That's the beauty is I have the person. it makes everything so much better. It's so great. So you don't miss anything.
It is. You can't get a better life if you got the right partner. Business. I teach business too, and I teach martial arts, and I teach a bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to the U.S. Open again. Oh, don't even talk about it.
Awesome.
It's horrible because I keep doing it to myself. All the effort and power and time and effort it takes to get there, and I keep doing it to myself. But when you do that when you find the right one, it is insane. Nothing else really matters. Me and my wife will die lovebirds. I guarantee you, if she passes, I'm going to be 6 months later.
Yeah.
Not from any physical ailment. It's just going to be out.
Broken heart.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Technical term, broken heart. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate it. This was great.
Well, I got one more question.
Yeah, shoot.
This is a Joe Rogan thing, and it blows my mind. I ask people that are in our position a little bit later on in life. Joe Rogan said it best. He goes, there's phases of men. Hard men create good times. Good times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Do you believe that's true?
Yeah, it's funny. I saw the episode, and it was with the guy from Modern Wisdom. Look, it goes all the way back to the beginning when we were talking about what the show's based on, and you said it as well. First of all, there's nothing wrong with being a strong man, and I think people got to remember that is evolutionarily what we want to be. But you need those hard times. You have to have them to come out if you want. It doesn't matter if you tell me what you want out of life. I don't care what it is. You name any part of it. Some part of it has to come through a hard time. And when it's not, evolutionarily, those people don't make it. It's a joke a little bit, but no. You learn that when that hard time comes, and it will, no way it won't. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what your background is. You will find that hard time. And if you want a better life, you want to be a better person, you want to be more successful, you want to influence the people around you, you want to be a better example, go through the hard time. You don't have to love it, but get through it. And I promise you, someone told me this one time, whatever you're going through today will not be a problem 6 months from now. And I think about that a lot of times, because when something happens, instead of crying about it or wondering, it's okay to have some emotion about it for a minute, but then pick up our stuff and let's get moving. We got to get to work. And I think that's a trait that I admire in people anyway. So yeah, I like that quote a lot.
Yeah, I do too. And I could talk to you another couple hours. Unfortunately, I do have to let you go. And could you do me a favor? If anybody wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that? And what's the main method you'd like the most?
Yeah, the easiest way to get in touch with us, just go to adviceunfiltered.com. All our contacts in there, everything just lives there. You can find us on social media and stuff, but even all that stuff just lives on adviceunfiltered.com. So you can go there and find everything about us and how to contact us. And if you want, submit a question to the show. So it's always the fun part of it.
All right, Tony, thanks a lot for being on the show. Really do appreciate it. One of my favorite guests to date.
I appreciate you having me on, and we'll talk about the reverse soon.
All right, sounds good, brother. Have a great day. Thank you, man. And everybody else can subscribe for more content like this. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.